Ah, lovely cough on the screen. What a wonderful way to start. Hey there. Hey, I'm Colin Scotland, and I'm going to give you a talk today about persuasion. And the title of the talk is 2,000-year-old secrets of persuasion. And that's not true, actually. They are more like 2,400-year-old secrets of persuasion. And what you'll see from the discussion that we'll have here today is that almost everything that we do as human beings is driven by these principles that I'm going to share with you. So my experience in this area was really one of fascination. So let me take you back. In the early 1980s, I was about seven years old, and I went to a market in Liverpool. So I'm from Liverpool, England, and I would be on. My dad was a market trader. I would be on the market stall helping my dad to do his thing, right? Sell the products, take the money. And it would be freezing cold. I would be dancing to keep myself warm, couldn't feel my toes, like shivering. We'd have to get up when it was dark, what felt like the middle of the night to me. And I actually didn't really enjoy it, right? Sorry, Dad. I didn't really enjoy it. But one of the things that really struck me was the way that these people, these market traders, would be so skilled at encouraging people to hand over their money and buy things. I didn't realize it at the time, and it came from a bang and a scream. Ah! A bang and a scream was where it started. There used to be a guy who taught my dad everything he knows about market trading. He got him going in the business of being a market trader. A guy called Freddie, a real heavy, thick Scouse accent. Scouse accent's Liverpudlian accent, right? So somebody from Liverpool. My accent's quite mild because I live just outside of Liverpool now, with a gentle Northern English drawl. In Liverpool, they have there's a thick, all right, there's a thick Scouse accent about Liverpool. This guy Freddie, he was a character, and he had the thick Liverpudlian Scouse accent. All right, Gary la. All right, Gary, how's it going, lad? Real Liverpudlian guy. Amazing character. Wonderful chap. And I remember being sat on the back of the stall and hearing this almighty roar, like bang, bang, bang. Freddie at the time used to have a red van where he would rock up to the store and set all of his stuff out. He used to sell shoes, right? And he would rock up in his red van, set his stall out and sell shoes. And his van would literally be rocking from side to side like somebody was being murdered in there. And you would hear this bang, and the van would rock to one side. Ah! Oh, what are you doing? You're breaking me on! Bang, bang, bang. And the van would be rocking, and everybody in the place, right? Because the market was like not that busy at the time. And I would be looking up going, what's going on over there? People walking down the aisles would be like going, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And they'd all be walking on over, getting a bit closer. Bang, bang, oh, get off, you're killing me. And they'd be creeping up to the van and thinking, what's going on over there? Somebody's being killed. Somebody's being like attacked or something over here. And it generated this curiosity, this arousal of what's going on? And literally within a couple of minutes of this banging and screaming, there would be a crowd around the red van. A crowd of people around the red van. The whole market flooded to the red van to see what was going on. And at the height of anticipation, at the height of the crowd gathering, the van doors would burst open, and out would come Freddie, large as life, like this, matter of fact, plain, just normal. Hey, all right, there, all right, girl, 2 for a fiver on the shoes over there, and yeah, I've got a special offer on them things there. If you're interested, you can get 2 for whatever, and right, and he'd just be going into his spiel as the market trader, and everybody would be like, ooh, not knowing where to look because their curiosity, their nosiness had led them to the van, and then all of a sudden they were like, so they'd be like looking at the shoes, nervously picking up the shoes, and then do you know what? Within minutes they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll have this, here's a fiver, I'll have this, I'll have that, and it was a technique used by Freddie to get sales, right? The guy used to make a fortune on these markets. That was just one of the wild and wonderful things that he would do to drive people to do something, to move people into action, to get people to part with their cash. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was like, wow. And the spiel that market traders would come up with, they'd be like, all right, girl, right, we've got this pen here, we've got these pens here today. Whoops, excuse me. We got these pens here today. I should have put that on silent, shouldn't I? We got these pens here today, lovely white pens. They help you to write by it, all lovely. Marks and Spencer's or WH Smith's, $19.99. I'm not going to charge you $19.99 today. I'm not even going to charge you $15, $14, not $13, not $12, not $11. Forget a tenner. I don't even want a tenner from you today, okay, girls? This pen will make your life wonderful. It will help you to write your diaries and write the letters to your children and create the cards and all of this wonderful stuff. And they'd have this spiel of like, I mean, I can't do it. I'm just making stuff up, right? But they would have this spiel that would really like have people like this, like hanging on every word, and then wanting and throwing their money in the air to buy this thing that they had in front of them. And so I guess I that started in me a bit of a fascination about how does that work? How does that even work? How does that work? And it was only a while later when I was I did a degree, I did a master's, and then I started a PhD in the psychology of consumer buying behavior. So I tried always to figure out the reasons we buy, the reasons that we say, yes, I'll have that. The reason that we make that decision. I've always had a fascination with the psychology behind all of that. And it came from that banging in the red van on the market stall. And so when it comes to making those decisions and moving people to a decision, from just walking down the aisle, minding my own business, to, hey, here we go. That's the part of marketing that really fascinates me, the bit where we talk about persuasion, about persuading people. And we hear that phrase, don't we, about moving people? Well, it really is about moving people. And it'll make sense a little bit later on. Moving people emotionally as opposed to physically, right? And so the 2,000-year-old bit of persuasion, it comes from the work of a guy. That was a long-winded way into me telling you how I got into all of this, wasn't it? The 2,000-year-old bit comes from the work of a guy you may have heard of called Aristotle. And Aristotle was a Greek philosopher who lived about 300 and something BC. I'm not sure of the exact dates. And in his work, his work on persuasion, he talks about 3 elements. His work, Rhetoric, the Art of Persuasion, it's about oratory persuasion. So about persuading people, when you're standing up and talking and how to persuade. But the elements that he talks about are universal, and they're elements that you and I can apply in our businesses, in our marketing, and in our messages, in everything that we do. When we're looking to persuade and convince and move people into action, just like Freddie did in that van. And so the three areas that Aristotle talks about are pathos, which is emotion. He talks about ethos, which is credibility. And he talks about logos, which is which is where we get the word logic from, right? So logical thought, logic. Pathos, ethos, logos. And all three of those elements are at play when we make a decision. If you think about this, when you look at politicians, they talk about winning hearts and minds. Winning hearts and minds. What Aristotle's work did in the field of marketing, that's my area, right? What Aristotle's work did is it filtered down into this idea that when we make an appeal to somebody, we can either appeal to their rational nature, logos, or we can appeal to their emotional, which is pathos. And so the field of marketing grew up with emotional appeal or rational appeal. That was like the two schools of thought in marketing. So in adverts, you'll see this idea of the half-naked lady draped over a sports car. So that's appealing on an emotional, visceral level to the guy, right? Who's looking at that. That's the reasoning behind it. And it all comes back from the work of Aristotle. There needs to be an emotional movement. You need to stir emotion. You need to create emotion. That's paramount. Then the person that you're trying to persuade with your communication needs to trust and believe that you are credible. This is where ethos comes in. Not only that you are credible, but that you are a person who's operating with integrity. And there's a whole stuff, I'm not going to go into the stuff around values and ethos and all of that. But if you just think about it as credibility, and I'm going to give you some real examples of how this plays out in marketing in a sec. And then the final one is the logos, the logistical. Think about this as the thinking part of the brain, right? This is the mind, the rational thinking piece. When we make a decision, the curious thing about that decision is we're driven by our emotions. So I usually say around 80% of a purchase decision is made with your heart. Then you justify that decision with your mind. How many times have you done it where you really, really want something? Think about something that you've bought that was expensive, something that you've bought that was important to you. You make the decision up here, down here, not up here. You make the decision up here, right? And you get this sense of, and then when you are about to press the button on that decision, you justify and rationalize that decision, right? So we're getting into logos now. You justify and rationalize that decision by looking at reviews, by seeing what other people think, by reading feedback, by reading other people's opinions, just to rationalize and justify the decision that has already been made in principle. It's already been made in your gut, in your emotion, with pathos. Okay. And so threaded through that from pathos to logos is this idea of ethos, of credibility. Are we buying from somebody who's trusted? Are we buying from somebody who can deliver? Are we buying from somebody who we believe will fulfill our expectations of what this product or service offers? So a really simple illustration of that could be a sales page. For example, let's say you sell a course, you sell a product, you sell a service. We have a sales page. The best way to construct a sales page is to lead with what? Lead with what? Think about it. Pathos, 80% of the decision. Ethos, 10. Logos, 10. Arguably less. What do you lead with? Emotion, right? We lead with emotion. Of course we do, because it's 80% of the decision. So look at your sales page, look at your website, look at your assets that exist, your marketing assets. Do you lead with emotion, or do you lead with logos? And I guarantee 99 out of 100 people lead in their messaging with logos, which is only a fraction of the decision-making process. It's a fraction of what drives us to buy something, what drives us into action, what moves us into action. Very small part. I'm probably being generous saying 10%, right? So what does your messaging look like? What does your messaging say? More importantly, how does it make people feel? How does it make people feel? Great test for this is to get a young person to read, have a look at the page, say, hey, read that and tell me how it makes you feel. And if they look at you blankly, obviously they've got to be of reading age, right? They can't be that young. Get them to read it and then ask them how it makes them feel. If they don't know, man, you need to change it. Ask them what it is. Ask them what it's expecting them to do. If they don't know, you need to change it. Okay? So when it comes to, let me just tell you about the sales page, right? We might have ethos as the leading point. Finally feel amazing. See how that's pathos, getting mixed up now. See how that's pathos? Finally feel amazing. So that says I've been struggling with I'm wanting to feel amazing, but not feeling pain. Finally feel amazing. Rather than we have a product. Here's a product that is this. Here's a thing that we can do. We flips the focus, focuses on the person who you're communicating with. Because we're not looking to persuade us. We're the owners of the product. We love our product. We know it works. We love it. It's not about us. It's about the person that we're looking to persuade. So a lot of this is shifting perspective to the person you're looking to put this information in front of and getting us out of the way. You get yourself out of the way. You're irrelevant, right? We don't need you. We need you to create the connection with them and the ethos and the credibility piece. But in terms of the lead-in, we just want to make them feel. We want to make them feel, okay? So imagine these elements in a sales page. Emotional headline, okay? Finally, feel amazing. We've generated curiosity, just like Freddie in his van, banging against the sides. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, they're killing me in here. We've made people feel, right? We've made people feel. In Freddie's instance, it was curiosity. Oh, what's going on over there? Somebody's being killed. Let's go and have a look. So we make people feel. Then we give them the message of hope, the message of what we can deliver, the message of the solution, the message that the solution can deliver, the outcome, the way that will make them feel, right? And then ethos and credibility comes into play in a sales page, especially. It might be the places that you've been featured. It might be the testimonials, the words of people that say, oh, wow, this guy or this girl is amazing. They've delivered X for me. They've delivered Y for me. And I can't tell you how my life has changed as a result. Credibility, social proof, testimonials, your background. But here's the thing, not your background I've worked 20 years in this factory and I've got 5 million hours of experience in this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this. Forget all of that. It's how your experience is relevant to them. So remember when we said about flipping the perspective so that it's all about you, not about you, all about them. Yeah, same thing in play. So when you talk about you and give your credibility piece, it's not actually about you. It's about how your experience, skills, knowledge, professional abilities, it's about how they can help them. I've worked with people who don't feel amazing year after year after year, and I'm just making up a silly example here, right, to give you an illustration. I've worked with thousands of people in the same place as you who have done X, and I've helped them to achieve Y. And here's Jenny, who was in this place of pain, and Jenny says, hey, I can't believe how amazing it was to work with this guy or this girl, and they've just helped me to achieve X or Y or Z, right? So all the time we're giving credibility, and we are proving the claims that we make in the ethos bit. Okay? Because once we've made somebody feel something, then they're likely to go, yeah, that sounds great. Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But is it true? Is it true? Can we believe it? And is it true? So this is where the ethos credibility piece comes in. And then the final bit, the logos in a sales page could be, so, okay, so, we have some bullets of the outcomes and the pieces of the puzzle and the mechanical bits and the how it works bits, and this is what we do, and this is how it will happen, and this is the process, and this is the boring bit, right? The boring bit, the process, the thing that we do. But if you think about it, most people have it the wrong way around. They have it entirely the wrong way around. They often don't have the pathos bit in there whatsoever. And they're 100%, these are our widgets, buy them. We are amazing. We've been in business for 2 million years. We've done this. I've done that. I can do this. I can do that. I'm amazing. Aren't I great? Aren't I great? And all of that, let's face it, is a load of rubbish, because all that's doing is persuading you how amazing you are. Your customers don't care, and it won't work. It's the reason that your marketing isn't working. It's the reason that you aren't persuading people with your language, with your communication, with your assets that exist out in the world, right? Ads, sales pages, landing pages, headlines. People don't care about that. People don't care. They care about you insofar as, how can you help me? What difference can you make in my life? I don't care how wonderful you are, except to believe that you are wonderful enough to help me. That's the reality of people that you're trying to persuade in your messaging, in copy, in sales pages. So first, you need to move people, okay? Pathos. Then you need to prove that you can deliver the outcome that you're promising. Ethos. Then, and only then, do you talk about the nuts and bolts, the process, the how, the rational thinking part, logos. Okay? So we just talked about a sales page as an example here, okay? Every piece of communication works in the same way when you're looking to persuade somebody into action. Make them feel. Make them feel. And that's how you move somebody into action. They're the lessons that we get from the work of Aristotle that are so true today. They are as true, they're universal. So they're as applicable to us today as they were in Aristotle's day 2,400 years ago. Focus on the person that you're trying to persuade. If we know we're trying to speak to somebody in English, we wouldn't write our communication in French. We wouldn't do it. So speak the language of the people that you're trying to persuade and focus on moving them. Focus on creating emotion. Okay? Focus on creating emotion. Put yourself and your product to one side and move these people. That's how you persuade. That's the secret to persuasion, is almost entirely in emotion, in the way that you make people feel. There's an interesting part in a favorite film of mine called Braveheart, and it's the film about William Wallace, right? The Scottish revolutionary, and it's a Mel Gibson film. Braveheart, you may know it, where they're all the Scottish rebels are on the hill, and they've all got blue war paint on, and they're waving their swords, and they've got their shields, and the English army are in front of them, about to attack. And you see these guys are a bit like quivery, they're a bit shaky, they're a bit unsure. And then in comes Mel Gibson, and he sees this like shaking and quivering in the ranks, and he walks down the aisle, and he's like, hey, and I can't remember the speech, but he talks about, these people, they may take our lives, they may take our family, but they will never take our freedom. And he brings these people, he moves these people from a place of fear, from a place of dread and almost about to run away. And he brings them to a place, he moves them to a place of excitement, a place of anticipation and hope for the future, to the point where they are roaring and flying their swords and shield and spears in the air, woo, turning, mooning at the English, flipping up their kilts and mooning at the English, and like, woo, right? So in that little speech, he's moved these people. He's moved them with pathos. That's the critical part. Make people feel. Okay, if you can create that same emotion, if you can generate that same sense of movement, that's how you persuade people. You want people to be woo when you're sharing your wonderfulness with the world, right? In the same way William Wallace was with his army, in the same way that Freddie was when he came out of that van, and he's like, hey, yo, all right, girl, so people are behind it, people feel it, people get a sense of what it's all about. The credibility, the nuts and bolts of the program or the system or the product or the service, all of that stuff is secondary. That's the logos, remember. Lead with emotion and the outcome and the thing that you can deliver. Create emotion, talk about the problem, identify with them on the problem. That's how you move people. That's how you create movement that leads to people being primed and ready and really, really keen to hear your sales messages when they come, okay? Because you've prepped the ground, ready to have the sales conversation. You've moved them in a way that matters to them. You've moved them towards the purchase decision. You've persuaded them using Aristotle's method of pathos, ethos, logos. Okay? There we go. That's the 2,000-year-old methods or secrets of persuasion. And I would be interested to challenge you now to go and look back at your website, look at any sales pages you may have, any opt-in pages, any assets or any pieces of content that you may have, any like advertising pieces, anything that you've got going on right now, have a look at them and ask yourself the question, against that criteria, do they make me feel? Do they have credibility? Do they have the little logos bit just to satisfy that questioning part of the brain that justifies the decision that we've already made, right? The decision that we've already made with our hearts. Flip it on its head. Don't talk all about your product. Talk all about how you can transform the lives of the people that you are looking to serve. Talk about how that feels. Talk about how that feels in the pain place where they're at. Talk about how that will feel when they're in the paradise place after they've consumed what it is that you have. Move them emotionally, and you will move them towards taking the right action, whatever that may be. There we go. Thank you very much. So that's the end of this section. I'm going to be jumping on live in a moment with I'll be around for questions. If you have anything that you want to ask me, then I'm about. I won't be on the screen, but will be here in the chat. So if you need anything, feel free to give me a shout. And then we've got another talk coming on at the top of the hour. Brad Lazarus is going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about creating an online training business. It's going to be really exciting. So do join us for that at the top of the hour. I'll see you soon.